Coming up next on Headline Humboldt, we sit down with Executive Director Matthew Marshall from the Redwood Coast Energy Authority to find out more about the wind project proposed for off Humboldt County's coast and the challenges that remain in getting that done. Also, work to remove 4 dams from the Klamath River has finally begun. Coming up now on Headline Humboldt. From the top of Humboldt Hill, this is Headline Humboldt. I'm James Falk. Thanks for watching. Humboldt County has a spotty record when it comes to approving major development projects that spur the economy and create new and good-paying opportunities. We all understand the collective need for jobs, certainly, but these debates usually center around how those projects will ultimately impact our quality of life. Which matters more? It's a complicated balancing act. We all need to work, but we have also grown to love and appreciate the relative lack of crowding, the light traffic, and easy access to nature that living here offers. Besides, change is scary and never guaranteed to turn out as originally planned. One new project that could provide local jobs as well as a new and clean energy source is the proposed wind farm, roughly 20 miles out to sea, that will capitalize on the famously high winds there to create kilowatts of clean power. Much has been made of how building this farm and supplying it would be a major economic benefit for local workers. But is this true? And on what time frame? And what are the issues that linger in terms of infrastructure that could threaten such an effort? Today, we hope to get some answers. Joining us now is Matthew Marshall, Executive Director of the Redwood Coast Energy Authority. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So first off, let's get a sense of what is the Redwood Coast Energy Authority and how is it involved in this process for the wind farm?
So we're a joint powers authority of local government. So we have member governments, the County of Humboldt, the Yurok Tribe, all the incorporated cities, and the Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District. And so we're governed by a board of directors from each of those jurisdictions. We're celebrating our 20-year anniversary this April, and
wow.
So we've been working on sustainable energy initiatives since the beginning, and that's what we were created to do. That includes energy efficiency programs, for businesses and residents, rebates, those kinds of things. We own and operate electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and then part of our goals are to support regional energy planning and implementation of renewable resources. And then we also, in partnership with PG&E, provide the generation component of the electricity service that people provide. So, from a perspective of offshore wind, it's of relevance to our organization from, the big picture of, county regional energy development, and then also as a potential source of power to provide electricity to Humboldt County customers.
Okay, so you guys are basically like a joint powers authority, kind of like HCOG or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're in the business of power, and this is obviously right down your alleyway. How big of a project are we talking about with this proposed wind farm? I mean, it's 20 acres off. Potentially how many windmills could there be? And
yeah, so the site is a scale of 1,600 megawatts, which probably doesn't mean anything to anyone. So for context, if you think about the PG&E natural gas plant in King Salmon, that's like 160 megawatt power plant. So this would be 10 times as much potential capacity.
Wow. And
from a scale standpoint, that PG&E plant can power all of Humboldt County. So we're talking about, the ability to power, 10 Humboldt counties with the area that's been leased. And there's 2 lease blocks to 2 different developers that were auctioned off at the end of last year.
Okay, so those we reported on at the time. Those have been sold now. And the developers are actually in the process of getting those deals done, those contracts signed, kind of thing?
The next step is to sort of finalize the actual leases, and there's a federal process for that. And then that will then kick off. They file what's called a site assessment plan, and that sort of is their next phase where they start to begin to do their site characterization, collecting wind data, doing environmental studies, and that's a multi-year process, 3 to 5 years of studies kind of leading up to actually, the proposed, design of the project and the ultimate, approval for construction.
And those are probably looking at environmental impacts, that sort of thing, and how it might impact local folks and the economy and all that.
Environmental impacts, community impacts, fishing impacts, sure. All those things, and then also understanding the resource, learning what's the seafloor like, and where can you put anchors and things like that. And so it's really their opportunity. It's sort of a little bit of a backwards process is the way the federal government does it.
To really investigate the site after you.
Yeah, so you bid on it and then you get permission to start studying it. So obviously there's been some obviously evaluation and there's been analysis leading up to this certainly, but they don't really get to go out in the ocean and start collecting data until they have that lease in place and get their evaluation plan approved.
Okay. Now, what is so special about the winds off of our coast, and why is this an ideal spot to build and not, say, down in off Cape Mendocino or up north?
So regionally, the north coast of California and southern Oregon as well has the best wind resource in the country. So if you look at a map,
it's the windiest?
It is the windiest, and it's also consistent. So not just like some gusty summer days. If you actually got in the ocean, it's just a lot of wind, basically all the time compared to anywhere else. And so if you look at the resource potential, it's world class. And so the area that was auctioned off is the closest to the harbor, the closest to where you could bring power on shore. There is interest in you said Cape Mendocino. There's a lot of wind down there, actually maybe even a little bit better, and then also up in Crescent City.
So they're also thinking about those spots.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see kind of a next round of evaluation looking at both to the south and north of us. They're already looking at southern Oregon, and so there's likely to be, and if you look at the state goals, there needs to be, to meet the state goals, additional wind energy areas identified, and really the north coast is where the resource is. So
yeah. One of my questions was, is this going to be enough power to cover our area's needs? But you just mentioned it would be 10 times the amount to cover what we draw on here. But then that goes to issues of infrastructure and how we're going to transport that power. We'll hold that thought there. We're going to play a clip real quick from Eric Black, who is one of our reporters here, and he did this back in December. And so let's watch that, and we'll go from there.
California generates grid electricity using these energy sources, then distributes that power to cities and rural areas.
Humboldt County is connected to the rest of the main grid by what I would consider capillaries. The main ones are two 115 kilovolt transmission lines that run to the east and connect in the Redding or Cottonwood area. And some of the big power lines that run up and down the Central Valley, for example, would be sort of the main arteries. Those are maybe 500 kilovolts, multiple times larger than the 115 kilovolt lines that connect the Humboldt Bay region to the Central Valley. Transmission lines tend to be largest in areas where you're trying to move bulk amounts of power from generation sources to the main substations.
The floating windmills will create a new generation source that was not anticipated when Humboldt County's current transmission infrastructure was built. Those lines carry small loads of power west to Humboldt's roughly 137,000 people to deliver large volumes of power in the opposite direction from the wind farm source east to electricity customers statewide. The state or developer might build new 500 kilovolt lines.
So in light of that report, I have a couple of questions. First off, has the state or the developer decided whether they're going to connect to the main substation by land or by sea? Has that come up yet?
There's, it's not decided yet.
Okay.
The state's begun the planning process, and it's a decision-making, really state-level process that kind of plans for the overall grid, and so the developers would be coming ashore somewhere, but most likely that would be sort of their part of the project from a transmission perspective is fairly limited, and then the broader grid is really operated at the state level as a whole. And so the options that the states very early discussions or planning sort of analysis, but potentially going east and then down to the Bay Area, or potentially going sort of more of a straight shot towards Mendocino down to the Bay Area, or potentially an undersea cable, and to really build out the resource on the North Coast, it might be a couple of those options, maybe not all three, but one or two of those combined.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the trick of this, right? Because we have a pretty rickety infrastructure here, and we're talking about generating all this power, but do we need to upgrade our own grid before we even look to do this, or are we hoping to utilize this as a means to help us upgrade our infrastructure? I mean, where do we stand there?
They're really sort of different ends of the scale, but hopefully there's going to be some alignment there. And when we think about offshore wind, there's really almost three different projects. There's the harbor infrastructure that needs to be developed, and that's really the harbor district's looking at that being something that's of West Coast relevance. So it's not even just based off of how soon are things happening on our coastline, but looking to the south and to the rest of the Oregon, Washington. And so, that harbor infrastructure project is, a massive project in and of itself.
Yes.
The second one is the transmission that we're just talking about, and then there's the wind farm itself, 2 farms in this case.
Yeah.
And so, for the transmission, our local grid is really in many ways at capacity. It's been in the news a lot. The issues in southern Humboldt. That's not the only part of our local grid that's sort of in the same, constraints.
When they say at max capacity, does that mean that they just couldn't add on additional connections?
Yeah. So it's and it starts to get complicated. The analogy I always use is if you think about like a road system, like the power grid. You've got your highways, which is the transmission system that moves power around the state, and the Arnie was talking about the different scales of that.
Yeah.
Right now we have the equivalent of a Highway 36 transmission system, and we need an I-5 system to move offshore wind out.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
And then at the next tier down, you have substations, which is where your off ramps from that highway system, and then you've got your city streets and county roads, which is the actual distribution lines that go to businesses, that goes to homes. Mm-hmm. And so the issues in southern Humboldt are really constraints at all of those levels, where they're having, the transmission system doesn't have enough capacity to get the power down to like the Garberville area for new load growth. And then some of those, localized distribution lines are also constrained. And so like the line that goes from Garberville out to Petrolia, that one's at capacity. There's other distribution lines in the community, even in Arcata, and around Cal Poly Humboldt, and in northeastern Humboldt, in the Hoopa North area.
Yeah.
Those lines are all kind of at the point where adding new load, is very constrained, and so that's obviously a problem from economic development standpoint of if you want to have new business ventures, from building new housing to meet housing needs, and then the state and local communities have electrification goals to decarbonize the economy and get off of fossil fuels, which can mean electric vehicles and electrifying buildings, with heat pumps, and so all of those things need grid capacity, and so the scale of that 500 kV line compared to what we have are very different, and so I think one of the things we really want to look at is making sure that we don't see billions of dollars of grid investment and it's just a flyover from the wind turbines down to the Bay Area, and our grid's still insufficient.
Neglected,
And so I think hopefully there could be some alignment of like, hey, if we're going to invest billions of dollars in grid infrastructure, let's address some of these rural community needs. Also, I think though we don't want to wait however long it might take. That can often be a 10-year process for that transmission planning and construction, and so we've got needs that need to be met now, and so I think there's solutions that we're going to want to implement, and that can be, localized projects to address some of these things. And obviously PG&E is responsible for that, but there's ways to get creative with microgrids and things. And so, I think they're two different kind of challenges, but they both intersect and hopefully can be done in a way that are actually complementary.
Yeah. So how much government assistance do you think there will need to be in order to make wind energy profitable in the long term? Do you think that, there's a cost that the government's going to have to invest in to get things up to snuff in order to make that happen, but there's also a cost with staying with fossil fuels. Is this a lot cheaper than it would be to stay with fossil fuels in the long term? Or how much money are you thinking that the government may have to put out in order to fund this?
So, energy markets can be kind of dynamic, and so
Yes, of course.
it's hard to predict way into the future, but the state, has targets for decarbonizing electricity and the overall, economy, and so that transition to renewable resources, has goals and deadlines, and the state's marching towards those, and so there's a balance point of obviously wanting the energy to be affordable. That said, renewables are overtaking fossil resources as far as the price of the power, and the investment. Once you build a wind farm, the wind is free, and so there's operations and maintenance, but you're not subject to the price of natural gas and having to be dependent on that.
Yeah.
So, there's already the sort of state mandates that basically say, hey, those that serve customers like RCEA, we have to buy renewables, and so and wind is really a great complement to solar energy. We have abundant solar energy in California, and that's very, very affordable. But the sun doesn't shine all the time, and so okay, how do you have how do you balance that out? You could build tons and tons of batteries, which is something that's also happening. But offshore wind is a really good complement to solar, and so I think it's going to have a good competitive position just on a market basis. And there are federal incentives through tax credits for developers to reduce some of the cost. I think so. The projects themselves, I expect if they get economies of scale, should be generally cost competitive and have not an issue being able to sell the power.
Yeah.
Some of that infrastructure investment, that's where there's a little bit less clarity of the state funds in general and ultimately ratepayers, the overall grid infrastructure, and so kind of sorting through how that gets paid for and built is a state level kind of process. And then obviously the harbor infrastructure, part of that will be on the back end where they're going to have tenants that are going to be paying to use the facilities. Yeah. But it is there's a lot of funding for infrastructure investment right now at the federal level, at the state level, and so I think it's a hopeful time to see that federal funding come and support some of these projects, because really it's not just the federal government has targets for offshore wind that are very ambitious. The state does,
and every little bit that we can move in that direction helps both. Right?
And we're in the windy spot, so I think it's probably there couldn't be a better time to maybe get some outside investment to help us with our infrastructure needs.
Well, that was sort of a follow-up question, is that the fact that this is instrumental in helping the state meet its goals helps us in the long term in terms of securing that funding, right? Because normally when we're up here clamoring for infrastructure dollars, it's like, oh, well, there's 140,000 people up there. I mean, our clout is relatively low, so maybe we wouldn't be in the running for some of these funding. But because this is an integral part of the state's own plan to get clean energy, working, that bodes well. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So we're not. It's not an uphill battle to get attention for this. The agencies are looking and say, hey, this is where this needs to happen for our goals to be met. And years ago there was a federal study looking at harbors, and so it's not like, oh, we're trying to pitch Humboldt Bay to people that maybe aren't interested because we don't have a bridge, to get out of the bay. That's like one of the big factors for staging these, because you put them together and then you float them out standing up, and so they're as tall as the Golden Gate Bridge, so you can't take them out. You can't put them together in San Francisco Bay. And so when the state really looked at the West Coast and all the different harbors and the sort of pros and cons, obviously we need a lot of investment in the actual dock part of it, but the fundamentals were there, and they said, oh, Humboldt Bay, that's the spot to really have as a hub for offshore wind on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And so they came to that conclusion without us having to sell them the idea. And so I think that's where it's I think we're in a good position because we're not trying to convince people that our goals should be their goals. It's if anything, it's the other way around.
Yeah, they came to us or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Batteries. You mentioned batteries. What is the status of developing batteries to store power from the wind turbines? And there was some talk of critics arguing that China controls most of the supply chain needed to produce those batteries, and maybe we shouldn't rely on them because of that. Is that familiar?
So there's definitely the materials that go into batteries is both an environmental concern and also okay, well, who controls that supply chain?
There's a lot of rare earth elements,
like lithium and so the state actually has an initiative looking at producing more of those materials here in California. They've got it's like the Lithium Valley Initiative or something along those lines that is particularly focused on that, and then also. The state's funding research and obviously people are working on different ways to store energy and so there's right now lithium batteries are kind of the standard, which is they're just really big versions of what's in your phone or your laptop or whatever.
Yeah.
But there are other technologies that are being developed and piloted. So that even just the commercial utility scale batteries is fairly new as a resource that's being deployed, and that's really often been driven by the amount of solar we have, where it's like, okay, you only need so much solar in the middle of the day, and so how do you kind of
make it work,
save it for the afternoon when you need it. And then the other advantage of that is, by having batteries part of the system, you can do that sort of arbitrage of moving power from when you got too much to when you need it. But it also adds the opportunity for energy resilience. And so, for example, the system we have at the airport that has a large solar array and a big battery system, when the grid goes down, we're able to switch that over and have our batteries and solar energize a little pocket of PG&E's grid that can power the airport, can power the Coast Guard air station there for an extended period of time. And so that system got quite the workout this winter, first with the earthquake and then all the storms. And so it's been turning on pretty regularly the last couple months and working. And the airport seamlessly transitions over, and because it's a utility sort of scale system that usually is providing power to our RCA customers, but when it goes into that island mode, it can run the Coast Guard and the whole airport for an extended period of time, so they don't have to rely on their backup generators. And it also again does that seamlessly, so they're not running around turning on generators and having
it's like we have the same thing here, a generator that kicks on as soon as the power flops. We're up and running. Part of it's because we have an emergency management system here, but we have something similar. What's the timeline are we looking at? I mean, there's different stages, there's different things happening. Can you give us a sense of what we might look for first, and then what might be things that sort of happen down the road?
The next step in the process is, with the two companies that got leases, they'll develop and submit what's called a site assessment plan. And that's basically their proposal of how they're going to collect data, what data they're going to collect, how they're going to do it. And then, once that's approved, it's usually a 3 to 5 year process of that sort of analysis phase.
Yeah.
And then during that time, they're starting to develop their designs and finalize what they're actually going to propose to build, as far as where the turbine's actually going to be and what's that going to look like.
Yeah.
And then, out of that 3 to 5 year sort of assessment phase, they submit what's called a construction operation plan, which is kind of their proposal to build, operate, decommission, what they're going to actually do. And then that has to go through probably a couple year permitting process, because that's the actual thing that's getting permitted, the construction project.
Yeah.
And then you've got probably at least a couple years, depending on the scale that they go at of construction. So when you start adding up those things, it's a 7 to 10 year kind of timeline.
Yeah.
And so the soonest you'd likely to see wind turbines off the coast is most likely 2030, if not later than that. So it's it's a marathon, not a sprint. And so there'll be a lot of stages leading up to when they actually have a proposal for a project that's going to get built, and then the approval process for that.
Yeah. We're basically out of time, but I wanted to ask you real quick, are you going to be able to see them from the shore?
Possibly. So it's about 20 miles off the coast.
Yeah.
And if you go to Trinidad Head and you look at the Samoa pulp mill smokestack while it's still there, they're taller than that, but that's about the distance they are. So if you're at the sea level, you're not going to probably be able to see them. But if you get up at a higher elevation, if it's a clear day, you'll be able to make them out.
Well, thank you for joining us. That was very informative. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. We'll be back after this short break.
Do you love reading? Have you ever wanted to read on Camp TV's Tell Me a Story? Well, now's your chance. What do you need to audition? Be in grades kindergarten through 5. Have a parent or guardian record a short video of you reading a picture book out loud. Submission information is at keat.org. Now, if you excuse me, I need to rehearse. Once upon a time.
Friends and supporters of Keat TV, we are calling all who have a passion for public television on the North Coast. Keat is looking for a diverse group of people to join its Community Advisory Board, or CAB. CAB members play an advising role to management and act as Keat's ambassadors within the community. Meetings are held quarterly on Zoom. Go to keat.org, find the link for CAB, and get involved today. We look forward to meeting you.
Work has officially begun on removing the 4 dams that currently impede the lower Klamath River, a long and development project that seeks to restore that waterway and its fishery to a more natural condition. Klamath River Renewal Corporation CEO Mark Bransom said this week that crews have begun preliminary work in the field. This work includes bridge upgrades, new road construction to access the dam sites more easily, worksite development, and more, he said. The plan to remove the dams and restore the 38-mile stretch of river reach to a free-flowing condition stems from an agreement between the previous dam owner, Pacificor, the states of California and Oregon, the Karuk tribe, the Yurok tribe, and a host of conservation and fishing organizations. The plan was approved by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission late last year. The project is funded by $200 million from Pacificor and $250 million from a California water bond passed in 2014. The project will benefit people as well as wildlife, according to a short film produced by documentarian Shane Anderson and the KRRC. Here is an excerpt.
Klamath River is what brings us life. We're at Ishipishi Falls, down here dip netting, traditional Karuk way of fishing, at our sacred ceremonial fishing spot. And very fortunate there's salmon here this year. This year, I'm actually living, where some years you don't feel like it so much when the fish ain't here and you're fish people. Salmon signifies our ceremonies. It signifies what time of year it is. Karuk people believe that if the salmon are no longer in the river, humans are no longer on the land. And they put the dams in, it blocked off hundreds of miles of the pristine habitat that our salmon needed. To have these dams removed is going to restore the culture of our people.
That's it for our show tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with more news you can use and views too. So, stay tuned, stay informed.